Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Horsemanship Journey podcast. My name is Shane Jacob, your host, and I thank you for taking your time to be here with us today. Today's guest is Robert B. Foster. Robert is a speaker, a coach, and an author who made his mission to help people conquer self-doubt and unlock their potential. He's came from being told that he would never run or jump again, watched his father pass away, donated a kidney to his sister, and through all that, Robert has lived a life defined by resilience and grit. Author, as a matter of fact, of his book, Shut Up and Grind. Robert, welcome to the Horsemanship Journey podcast. Appreciate you.
How you doing, Shane? Thank you for the opportunity.
Right on. Well, I gave a little bit of clues there. Tell us all about you. Where did it all begin? How'd you get to be here?
So to understand this version of me, it's important to understand the beginning. So I'm the youngest of seven, and we were all athletes, including my parents. And for whatever reason, I hit my growth spurt late. So I was watching my older siblings thrive and excel in their sports, and here I was, skinny and short. So kind of had a little chip on my shoulder growing up. There wasn't any animosity towards them or anything. I just wanted the shine that they were getting, and I wanted to step out of the shadow of being so and so's little brother, because I heard that all the time, everywhere we went. And on top of that, I had a bad stuttering problem. Like bad. So it's bad enough I'm getting made fun of because I was the skinny duckling of the family, this family of athletes. And then I couldn't say three words without tripping over myself. So there was just a lot of me really fighting and clawing just to get noticed. And so between my junior, well, actually before that, as a freshman in high school, to give you an idea of just how small I was 5'4", 88 pounds. Right, this is as a freshman in high school. So to put it in perspective, what one of my twin boys, because I know they're twins, but they're different heights. But he was 6 foot, like 130 as a freshman. So big difference. So I remember going into my track coach, and I asked him for the record book. And he kind of gave me that little up and down look, like, what do you want the record book for? And I said, because I'm going to break the high jump record. And he says, you don't have what it takes to be a high jumper. So that moment there is what initially really lit the fire under me to become the competitive person that I am today. So I only had him for my freshman season, and I had a different coach for the other 3 years of high school. So in the summer between sophomore and junior year, I grew almost 6 inches. So I finally caught up to everyone else, and then I was able to forge my own path. And so moving forward, everything that I do in my life, I look at it through the lens of a competitor. So like when people, like, you get on these shows and people always say, tell us a little bit about yourself, or like, who are you? And that's me in a nutshell. Is I'm a competitor. So all those things that I went through that you mentioned in the intro, I got through all of them through that competitive lens.
Talk to me a little bit. I got some questions about your story so far.
Okay.
First question is you walk up to your coach, you're the small guy. So what compelled you? Where did you even get the idea that you're going to take and break this record? I mean, where did that come from?
Well, from my father. So my dad was an engineer, and he always figured out ways to get stuff done, no matter what it was. It's like I've never seen him give up on a job, no matter how difficult it was, no matter how many trips he had to make back to Home Depot, or how far he had to drive to get the part that he needed. Like, to give you a quick example, he came home with this station wagon that was dented in from the passenger side all the way to like the middle of the vehicle. And I remember myself, my mom, and one of my sisters were in the window watching him come up the driveway, and we're like, what is that? You know, he went out, he spent, I think it was like $1,500 on this machine to get the dent out. And long story short, 6 months later, I was driving that car. So that's where that drive came from. When that coach said that to me, I had two choices. I could let him define my reality, or and it wasn't even about proving him wrong. It was just about proving myself right, that I'm going to break that record. And that's what got me through that, and that fueled me through those years in training. And when I finally did it, it was just an amazing feeling. And I got inducted into my high school Hall of Fame in 2010, and he was actually there. That coach was there, and I thanked him for lighting that fire, because maybe if he didn't say those words, maybe I didn't go after it as hard as I did. So just because he tried to clip my wings, I chose to not let him do it.
That's interesting. I mean, that's an important little concept right there. It's not a little concept, it's a big concept. It's like, well, what do we do with this stuff? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe people mean something. We can take all kinds of meaning about what they say, right? I mean, you could have made that mean whatever you wanted to, but
Yes.
just having something to bump up against. And a lot of times I hear a lot of stories about people in that case just you know uh like you said, arguing. Really, if it's not against him, it's certainly for you. But you
Yes.
you have you have some opposition to go up against. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible, because it's just as easy, I think, or probably easier, just to let that go. Well, he's probably right. He is the coach. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
but
Yeah.
that's what you have to bet on yourself. Like you mentioned the knee injury. Like when the doctor told me that I would never run a jump again, I chose to not accept it. Like it's that simple. Like people always ask me, they're like, "How did you do it?" I said, "I just grinded every single day. I did what I had to do above and beyond what the physical therapist was saying, what my surgeon was saying. I made sure I did the minimum that they laid out and then some. I worked on it every day. The flexibility, the mobility, massaging. I had an electric stim because two of my four quadricep muscles had complete atrophy, and I grinded every single day. And I remember the surgeon saying, he's like, well, most people don't come back from something like this. I said, well, I'm not most people. I was like, you can't tell me how I'm going to heal. Like, 'cause in that moment, like, we haven't even had the surgery yet. And you're already telling me what my outcome is going to be. I was like, with all due respect, you don't know me like that. It's like, you don't know what I'm willing to do, what I'm willing to push through. And at the time, I had just gotten into fitness. I left the restaurant industry in early 2009, and this happened in July 2009. So like I made the decision to walk away and explore this fitness industry. It's like, now you're telling me I'm never going to run or jump again? And I was like, yeah, the doctor was like, it's about a 10% chance. I said, well, count me in that 10%.
Right on. Yeah. Right on. Let me ask you this. I've heard you talk about past pain into power. Can you talk a little bit about that? Tell me what you mean about that.
Because everybody goes through something at some point. So there's a difference between speaking and storytelling, and like, or venting and trying to use your story to inspire. So when I talked about the knee injury, it's not about the knee injury. It's like people get stuck on the what. And that past pain, they end up reliving it because they're stuck on the what. And I'll use watching my father pass as an example. If I just get stuck on what I saw in that moment, because I'll never unsee it. It's like then I'm gonna just be sad every single day, watching his eyes get big, his head turned, his eyes slowly closed, and then you saw the color just leave his face. It's like if I stay there, I'm never gonna be healed from it. So instead, I quickly pivoted to a place of gratitude. So now I have my own podcast, and I've interviewed multiple men who have never met their father. And I was 45 when my father passed. So I had 45 years with this man of memories, of teachings, of life lessons, of times where he made me mad. So I leaned into those moments. There's things that he's built. There's photos of him. There's videos of him dancing like a crazed fool at a family reunion on YouTube. Like there's so many memories that I can go back to that can make me smile. And even the sad ones, because like you have to feel all the things. It's like there are days where I just wish I could hear his voice, but it's like, but you can't get stuck in the things that you can't control. I had to accept I'm never gonna high five him again. I'm never gonna hug him again. Like you just have to reconcile with the things that you can't control. And then on the days when I miss him, I lean into those moments where, like I said earlier, where I got the life lesson, I got the laughter, or I got the kick in the tail that I needed. So that's how you take that past pain, you take out those teachable moments and those fond memories, and you use that to help other people who aren't there yet.
Right on. Right on. So, Robert, you talk about prioritizing yourself, and it seems like, you say that's really hard for a lot of people to do. So, tell us about this whole prioritizing yourself idea you got going on.
Yeah, so it's one of the worksheets in my book. And I deal with this a lot, especially in the fitness industry. It's like a lot of moms feel like once they become a mom and a wife, that they have to back burner all their hopes, dreams, and wishes. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Because again, going back to the doctor trying to tell me how my life is supposed to be, don't let society tell you how your life is supposed to be. Like nobody's supposed to do anything. I said, so when you are a parent, right? And I have 5 kids of my own. It's like when you are a parent, it's like, yes, you can say what you want to say. They're watching what you do. Okay. So if you're not living your best life, they're not going to pick that up. And then they're going to have their own struggles as they're growing up, and they're going to have trouble prioritizing themselves and doing the things that they want to do, and they're going to get stuck in that societal box. So when you are taking care of yourself, when you're living your best life, when you're healthy, when you're doing the things that make you happy, not doing the things that make you unhappy, because a lot of people get stuck there as well, and you set firm boundaries for yourself, everybody in your inner circle is going to benefit from that because they're getting the best version of you. Right, the stressed out version of you isn't helping anybody. The always sad or the always negative version of you isn't helping anyone. It's not inspiring anyone. But when you're living in your purpose, when your soul is lit up, you're helping other people, that is when your entire circle is going to benefit. So if you don't prioritize the things that make you happy, that make you excited, and that make you feel a sense of purpose, then you're not gonna reach your true potential, and you're not gonna see your real value in the world.
Why do you think so many we get stuck not doing that? We just feel like an obligation. We don't feel like we deserve it. We feel like we need to suffer. I mean, why do you think that we feel guilty? Because if we're gonna, everything has to be about somebody else. I mean, what are the things that you think that it's hard to for us to really focus on ourselves? Because I think that a lot of times it can just sound, it's because what people hear is selfishness.
Yeah, yeah, and but if you think about it, think about self-care, self-love, self-belief, self-esteem. It all begins with self. So if you're being selfish to benefit you, now it's a negative connotation. But if you're taking care of yourself for the betterment of others, like me being a fitness coach, like the things that I do, they're watching my actions. Like they're watching how hard I train. They're watching how much water I'm drinking. It's like they're watching all of that stuff. So like I'm prioritizing my self-care so they can see the examples. Like you can go out to eat and not drink. You can do it. You can go out to eat and skip the breadsticks. It's possible. It's possible. But we get sucked into the societal norm where people are like, oh, you can have a burger or one drink's not going to kill you. And we give in because we want to please everyone else, but you're derailing yourself from your own goal. It's like you're prioritizing someone that doesn't have to live in your skin, that doesn't have to pay your bills, that doesn't have to live in your household, and is not raising your children. It's like you're prioritizing those people that they're going to go home and live their lives and not realize they just knocked you off the train tracks.
Yeah. I like your idea there. You think it selfish, think it whatever you want to. I'm doing this, and the result is for somebody else. I mean,
Yes.
that's a super, I mean, selfish be it what it is. I mean, that's just, I like your way of thinking on that.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate it.
so you've talked a little bit about being stuck. I guess I was gonna, I guess in those moments, I was wondering if you could just, you talked a little about your knee injury or your, when you told that you'd never run a jump again, but I was wondering if you could just go into a little bit more detail and just kind of the details of what happened. And then that moment, the moments that actually, when they said you're not going to run or jump again.
Okay. Yeah, so the injury itself. So now this, I was training for track meet. I was in my early 30s. And now this was before I got into fitness. Like I was always an athlete, but when you're into fitness, it's a completely different because you actually learn how the body works. So I had a gym quality leg extension machine, and I was doing it every single day. Thinking I was going to get myself nice and strong, not realizing I was giving myself a muscular imbalance. Right? So, but I was doing it every day. So the day the meet comes, and I do the long jump first, and I win. Now, backstory: I was an all-American track athlete, and I had let myself go somewhere in there. Like this is another story for another day. But like my ex tried to run away with my infant son. So, anyways, I ended up getting him back. So I had to rethink things, and this goes back to where the prioritizing yourself worksheet kicks in because I actually lived it. Every worksheet in this book are things that I've lived. Right? It's not just things I came up with or I learned in a book somewhere. Like I live these things. And so I ended up letting myself go a little. And so I had my aha moment, like you can't do this. And I ended up losing 45 pounds in about 5 months or so. And I integrated my son into my life. And most people do it the other way around. They integrate themselves around the life of the child. And so once I flipped it, I got myself back on track. And I think I forgot what the original question was.
Just what details of your,
Oh, the jump.
your
Yes, yes,
win.
yes. Yeah, so that was one of my goals. So now that I lost the weight, I was like, I want to get back on the track again. So back to my training and giving myself the imbalance. So the day the meet comes, I win the long jump, and so I'm in the high jump now. Technically, I had my age bracket already won, but I was 32, and there was another guy still competing who was 45, and the competitor in me was like, I ain't letting this guy beat me. So even though our age brackets don't really matter, but still, so I plant to jump, and I felt a tug in my left knee. But so like I missed the jump, he went, he missed the jump, and so I was like, all right, I'll do one more, and it's always the kiss of death. Now one more when something bad happens. So I get some tape, I put some tape around my knee, and I'm telling you, I couldn't have asked for a more perfect day as far as jumping conditions. It was sunny, minimal wind. I'm a Leo. I love a crowd, so like people like to watch the end of the high jump. And I'm doing my approach. I plant to jump. I saw white, so when I came to, I'm on the ground, and then I glanced down at my knee, and my kneecap is about 4 inches up my quadricep. So look at your face. So the patella tendon and other stuff around there just completely ripped. And
Mm.
fortunately, I wasn't able to feel it. So I motioned for my girl at the time to call an ambulance. The athletic trainer comes running over, and I had my hand like this over my knee, so she really couldn't see it. And I said, my girl called for the ambulance already. She's like, oh, I don't think you're gonna need an ambulance. And then I moved my hand, and if you could have seen the look of horror on her face, and she was like, how are you not screaming right now? I was like, I can't feel this at all. Like it's completely numb. I said, but more importantly, how do I get my 2 gold medals? Like that's what my concern was. So, so that's how that went down. So in that moment, when the doctor said those words, so now he walks into the room. I'm on the stretcher. He takes off the brace, and without even touching it, looking at it, examining it, he just opened the brace and said, "Ooh, you're never gonna run or jump again." And I was like, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Because my kids were little at the time. They were 10, 7, 2, and my twins were 4 months old. So I initially went down the negative headspace, like I'm not gonna be able to run on the beach with the kids or jump from rock to rock because like I'm not gonna be able to play basketball or any of this stuff. And that was when like I looked up at my now ex, and like we were both kind of teary eyed, And then that's when the competitor kicked in. And I was like, you can't tell me how I'm gonna heal. So I was like, you know what? Let's have the surgery, then we'll go to work. And granted, initially after the surgery, I was in some serious pain for about 2 weeks. Like this was my first ever surgery, and the first couple weeks it was a little rocky, but now we fast forward a few months, and like I'm walking again, like I'm walking without crutches, and I'm at the track with the kids. And they're running around. I was like, you know what? Like, let me see if I can get both feet off the ground. I was like, let's just try it. And so I start to run, and now, granted, I look like a newborn giraffe, but I was able to get both feet off the ground. And it was in that moment where I was like, I'm making a full comeback. I will be in that 10%.
Right on. Right on. That's a cool story. Good for you. Tell us some more. You've talked about some worksheets and that. Tell us more about your book, Shut Up and Grind.
All right. So people always ask me how. They're like, how do you stay disciplined? Like, how do you keep your eye on the prize? And I tell them, I said, this is how, right? And as you look at this book, you see it's not very thick, right? It's like this isn't about me. It's like I do share some of my stories in there just to illustrate what people are going to do in the worksheet, but I took the principles that I use to help people get in shape, because no matter what it is you want to accomplish, you have to start with a starting point, right? You got to have a starting point, and then you got to figure out what you want the end goal to be. So you got to start there. I always call it the GPS theory, right? You got to know where you're starting, know where you're going, and then in the middle, you might come up to a closed road. You might come up to a detour, right? It's usually not linear. At some point, you're going to have obstacles thrown your direction, and these worksheets teach you how to navigate those obstacles. So the first one is titled, chapter one is titled, There's Nothing Wrong with You. Like that's the first step. It's like I worked with a young boy, young man, college age, who had Asperger's, and he was trying to get a job as a writer. Now his mom, who was a clinical psychologist, right, woman with a PhD. I dropped out of college 3 times, but she hired me to work with her son because he was just stuck on the fact that he's not getting jobs because he has Asperger's. And so I helped him reframe that using the methods in this book. And so we started with his beginning point. We started, all right, what excuses are holding you back? So there's a worksheet dedicated to eliminating excuses. There's a worksheet about assessing your inner circle. There's one there's one about casting the vision. Because before you can set a goal, you have to cast a vision. You got to be able to see it, feel it, and really immerse yourself in that feeling. Because that's what's going to push you in the days when you don't feel like it, or you don't want to, or if the conditions aren't right. Like that feeling is going to push you to do what you have to do each day. Like when I was rehabbing from the knee, yeah, there were days I didn't want to sit down on the CPM machine, which raises your leg up and down. There were days where I didn't want to, but it needed to be done because I wanted to run and jump again. So it's like you have to want what you want more than you don't want it. And I've tested this with probably about 15 people before I had it printed. And everyone that's gone all the way through, they're like, you're a genius. I'm like, I'm not a genius. I live this. This isn't something I came up with. I just wrote down the things that I've been through and the things that worked for me. Because in life, people are afraid to face what hurt them. So like you asked me earlier about turning pain into power. People don't want to revisit the pain because they're stuck on the hurt, right? And this book teaches you how to navigate that pain step by step by step. Like there's only 15 chapters and there's 13 worksheets built into the 15 chapters.
Awesome. That is awesome.
Thanks.
Tell me, um, we're getting a little bit low on time here. Just
Okay.
what what would you like to leave us with today? What's got some final thoughts on overall?
Yes. So I tell people you need 3 things to be successful in life. 3 things. You need vision, you need drive, and you need perseverance. So I just pretty much outlined vision a second ago. So you want to see it, you want to feel it, you want to immerse yourself in it. From there, you need to drive. You need to drive to get it done. Like, how bad do you want it? Are you easily derailed? Are you easily distracted? Or do you want it bad enough to where you can block out the noise, block out the naysayers, and just charge toward your goals every single day? And then the perseverance, back to the GPS theory. When you get curveballs, when you get challenges, when you get people doubting you, you get things not going your way. Can you stay the course? Can you stay the course and see it all the way through? It took me 3 years to write that book. 3 years, because I juggle a lot of different hats from hosting my own podcast. I actually host two. One's about obstacle course racing. The other one is about overcoming odds and overcoming obstacles and defying the odds, with the same name, Shut Up and Grind. And that podcast was started from the knee injury. So helping people to, like, whatever is in your path, you can get through it. Like I said, with those three things: vision, drive, perseverance.
Awesome. Robert, I appreciate your passion. I mean, we feel it. I especially can take, the horsemanship journey and stable living coaching is about the idea. And it's kind of, I noticed this early on with horsemanship, that in horsemanship, we're kind of always all focused about what the horse is doing wrong. And we have a tendency to do that as parents too. So I especially like your idea that, hey, you need to begin right here, and in an effort, of the whoever's on the other end of this in our inner circle is going to be the one reaping the rewards. Really, it's a great motivation to be focused on ourselves and the importance in that. Love your parts about pain. How can people find out how to reach you and find out more about you?
So
Find your
I'm
book.
most active on social. I'm most active on Facebook. Like I interact on Instagram as well. Facebook is at rfoster74, and then I have a second page which is at Robert B Foster, and then my
Awesome.
Instagram is at Robert_B_Foster. Like, having a common name, it's tough to have it all across all platforms. That's why I always put the B in, because like if you ever Google Robert Foster, you get like I don't know 100,000 names come up. So tried to differentiate myself. And with the book is just shutupandgrindbook.com. That brings you directly to the Amazon link.
Perfect. Right on. Robert, thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. Appreciate your passion and your and everything that you bring to the table, the example in your book. Excited to see it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Again, thanks for the opportunity.